After the Earth is considered uninhabitable, a young doctor wishes to travel to Rhea, a habitable planet, to reunite with her sister, but uncovers the terrible reality of the perfect planet. In the year 2267, the Earth has suffered an ecological collapse and become inhabitable for all humans. Those who could escape reside on the planet Rhea, a planet considered paradise for humans, while the rest survive on overcrowded space stations in the Earth's orbit. Laura Portman, a young doctor, is amongst the space station survivors. Laura wishes to live with her sister Ariane, who settled on Rhea by winning a visa to the planet 7 years ago. Laura can't afford the journey and thus takes up a job at Kuiper Enterprises in the cargo ship Cassandra. The flight of the ship is calculated to be 8 years to the unmanned station hash 42 and back. Laura is placed on the ship with 5 more crew members: Captain Lacroix, Lindbergh, Prokop, Vespucci, and Yoshida. Lacroix warns the others of terrorist threats that have been received by the Neo-Luddite group Maskenenstürmer, machine strikers. The crew is introduced to an additional security guard, Samuel Decker, who shows them the leader of the group, Klaus Bruckner. The crew is informed that they will remain in cryosleep for most of the flight, save for one person who will remain awake for 8.5 months to monitor the ship. Laura's shift is toward the end and would be taken over by Lindbergh. During Laura's shift, she carries on daily activities, including sending video messages to Ariane. However, toward the end of her shift, she begins to hear noises coming from the cargo bay in the ship. Laura feels as though she has been observed in her shift as well. She investigates the noise and finds out Decker had been awake as well. Decker explains to her that he was awoken to do security checks on the ship. The 2 crew members wake up the Captain Lacroix to investigate the sound from the cargo bay, but Lacroix is killed by falling off one of the top floors. Laura informs Decker and rushes to check if he is alive. However, the doors of the cargo bay begin to shut, leading Laura and Decker to rush to get back into the ship. Laura immediately checks if Lacroix is alive, but finds out he has died. The rest of the crew is awoken after Lacroix's death to investigate the possibility of a murder. Lindbergh declares herself the new captain and orders Prokop and Vespucci to repair the hatch, Yoshida to investigate the cryosleep log files and observe irregularities, and Laura to observe the body of Lacroix. Laura performs a medical exam on Lacroix to find the reason for his death. She observes multiple fractured ribs and craniocerebral injury, which meant he died a few minutes after hitting the ground. She finds out that one of Lacroix's eyes was an artificial implant and extracts it from his eye socket. With Decker, she plugs the eye into a computer to watch recorded footage with the eye. The 2 members do not see who caused Lacroix to fall, but they do notice a sign on the wall inside the cargo room which states biohazard. Laura tells Decker she thought they were transporting construction materials, and he confirms he believed that as well. Meanwhile, Yoshida is on her computer, trying to investigate the cryosleep logs of each member. Prokop and Vespucci attempt to fix the hatch, which appears stuck, and repair the broken transmission. Decker and Laura visit Sector F721 that Lacroix had last been visiting before his untimely death. Using Lacroix's badge, they enter a room to find a container with a young girl in it. They call Prokop and Vespucci to help them carry the container back to the ship. However, as they are carrying it, the containers are released, and they hurry to bring the container to the other side. Laura is left behind and climbs onto a nearby ladder attached to a container when the containers begin moving. She begins slipping down when the container moves across the room, but manages to climb up once the container stops. Decker shows up to pull Laura up onto the top of the container. The container is brought to the medical room, which Lindbergh notices. She reprimands the crew for going into the cargo bay even after Laura tells her the containers are full of people. Laura tells her the containers were released when they were present and nearly killed them, to which Lindbergh says the containers automatically move randomly to avoid freezing. Lindbergh commands the group to send the container back at once, but Laura defies her order, stating she is responsible for the young girl due to her being a doctor. Decker also states he is authorized to investigate every incident on the ship. Lindbergh leaves but threatens to report the 2 to the authorities. Laura investigates the child's body through the container, but is unable to gain any useful knowledge due to the tank restricting the scanner's radiation. She can detect the child's cranial area, which displays weak brain activity due to a cryosleep-induced coma. Decker helps her in opening the electronic lock of the container, but warns her it might take some time. Meanwhile, Lindbergh asks Yoshida to give her all the information about Decker, as she claims he is strange. While Decker and Laura wait, they talk about Station #42. Decker informs her that officially the station is being expanded into a transportation hub. He then asks Laura why she joined the mission, and she explains she needed the money to go to Rhea to see Ariane. During the conversation, the decryption of the container is completed, and Decker kisses Laura, who promptly walks away. Laura performs another medical exam on the body of the young girl and discovers the girl's brain is interconnected with inorganic tissue. She also observes a VR or virtual reality connector embedded in the girl's spine. Decker suggests connecting the girl to an external system to find out more about the VR connector, but Laura refuses, saying she wouldn't put the child's life at risk. Decker tells Laura to keep the findings of the medical exam between them and not share the results with anyone else. Laura sends a message to Ariane about her discovery of the child in the container. She watches over the girl but receives a reply from Ariane in 20 minutes rather than years later. She questions Decker on why he wanted to keep the medical examination a secret and what he knows about the people in the containers. Decker does not answer, however, when Laura walks away. Decker pulls her close and kisses her again. Lindbergh confronts Decker with the cryosleep logs that Yoshida extracted and accuses him of manipulating the files. Decker claims his job is to maintain the security of the ship, and he does not owe anyone any explanations. Lindbergh asks Prokop and Vespucci to arrest him, to which Decker shows resistance by fighting Lindbergh. However, he is overtaken by Yoshida and held back by Vespucci. Lindbergh orders Laura to return the container to the cargo bay, but Laura refuses, stating she gave the girl medicine to make her stable. Lindbergh orders the crew to put Decker in cryosleep, but Laura stops them, saying his blood would contaminate the cryo liquid. Laura cleans up the wound on Decker but refuses to talk to him or answer his questions. He tries to kiss her again, but she moves away. Decker tells Laura that they aren't flying to Station #42, but rather Rhea instead. Laura walks away, and Decker is taken by Prokop and Vespucci to the cryosleep pods, where he is forcefully submerged in the liquid. Laura then asks Yoshida to find out if they are flying to Station #42. Yoshida agrees and begins searching for the coordinates of the area they are flying to. Through Yoshida, Laura learns that the coordinates for their destination are highly encrypted, but Yoshida is not sure they're flying to Station 42 anymore. Yoshida also confesses that the coordinates were set before the ship took off, so Decker had no chance of changing them. Vespucci invites Yoshida and Laura over for a party, but only Laura accepts. Meanwhile, Lindbergh accesses her computer to find out that someone accessed it before her. During the party, Laura hears sounds and leaves to investigate. She finds Yoshida dead and discovers that Decker has escaped from his prison. Lindbergh divides the 4 remaining crew into 2 groups, her and Prokop and Vespucci and Laura. Each group wanders the ship's passageways until Laura finds and climbs down a vent. Laura climbs through the vent until she encounters an opening. She drops down into another hole and is assaulted by Klaus Bruckner, who is immediately killed by an unknown bullet. She finds pictures of Bruckner and also finds an electronic screen explaining that the Earth was still habitable and the world had been lied to. Laura is found by Vespucci, who claims they've found Decker. Decker is being beaten up, but confesses to the group that Rhea is a simulation made to give people false hope. He explains that Kuiper Enterprises is lying to the world and trying to fool them. Lindbergh denies this at first, stating that they have regular contact from Rhea. She asks Vespucci and Prokop to take Decker away. Laura questions Decker if he killed Bruckner, and he confirms he did because he had killed Lacroix. She asks about the killing of Yoshida and notices Lindbergh swallow. After Decker has been taken away, Lindbergh is informed by Laura that her patient is well enough to be moved back into storage. Lindbergh then proceeds to inform Laura that she will go into cryosleep, and she will have her shift taken over by Lindbergh. Leaving the room, Laura draws her gun on Lindbergh, but notices Lindbergh has already aimed hers at Laura. Decker is confronted by Vespucci and Prokop about the truth of Rhea, and he explains it to them. Meanwhile, Lindbergh ties up Laura and tells her the truth of how Rhea is a temporary solution because all attempts to make Rhea habitable have failed. Vespucci and Prokop point their guns at Lindbergh, asking her if she knew they were headed to Rhea. Lindbergh is forced to go into cryosleep, and Vespucci and Prokop decide to enter Rhea when they reach it. Meanwhile, Laura takes care of the little girl while Decker explains why he couldn't tell her the truth. Laura asks Decker if he can help her save her sister. Decker agrees and formulates a plan where the ship will land at Station 42 as planned, but the automatic unloading will be delayed by 30 minutes. He explains that in this time, he will help Laura get into Rhea so Laura can send one last message from Rhea to the people in the space stations to warn them of the lies of Rhea. The mission is carried out by setting the timer to 30 minutes. First, Decker leaves the spacecraft, and after making sure the little girl is safe, Laura joins him. Meanwhile, Vespucci and Prokop are aiming to get inside one of the containers in the cargo bay. To access the room, Vespucci puts his hand into the cryo-liquid in which Lindbergh lays in order to steal her key. This contaminates the liquid, and Lindbergh is awoken by the disturbance. Prokop resets the unloading timer to 10 minutes so they may be able to reach Rhea as soon as possible. Laura, through radio, tells Decker that she does not have enough fuel, and he encourages her to avoid joining, but she leaves the aircraft anyway. Decker, in the meantime, attaches a bomb to the main antenna of the mainframe area. Decker also finds Laura's sister, who has been in the cryosleep for too long to be woken up. Reuniting with Laura, who has lost control of her jetpack and is floating in space, she asks to reach where her sister is after he tells her that her sister can't be saved. Decker programs the coordinates of Laura's sister and attaches a tube to her suit. Laura notices the ship beginning to unload its contents, and Decker immediately realizes that Prokop and Vespucci messed with the timer. He tells Laura they have around 7 minutes before the ship turns back. Laura is then transported near her sister's house in Rhea. She finds and embraces her sister, but leaves after telling her sister she loves her even at her sister's insistence to stay. Laura also broadcasts the final message from Rhea, telling other humans that it was a simulation and that the Earth was habitable again. Laura is teleported back to reality, but Decker tells her she must be the one to take the proof to the humans, as he has already filled her suit with fuel. They share an emotional moment, and Decker tells her he loves her before falling back into the uninhabitable planet Rhea. The bomb that Decker set goes off currently, destroying all communication with the simulation planet Rhea. Laura travels back into the ship but discovers that the young girl is missing. She frantically searches for the girl and is assaulted by Lindbergh. After some fighting, Laura ejects Lindbergh into space and comforts the young girl, who is simply eating at the table. The broadcast of Laura's message is shown on space stations, warning others of the false hope given to them. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.